Hi, it's Nadia. Today I'm sharing some tips for success about making a good keto pie crust. A keto pie crust is one of the important elements in keto baking, also a keto regular staple. When we manage or even master a proper keto pie crust making, it brings our keto diet with more varieties and more meal choices. Following, I'm going to share 12 tips related. They can be categorized into two major groups: ingredients and substitutes, such as keto flour, liquid, facilitating agents, and sweetener; process and techniques, such as egg wash, measurement, blind bake, and temperature setting. Let's start with the very basic ingredients. As you can see in this recipe, our non-wheat flour in total is 180 grams. You can play it with other flour substitutes. Adjust each portion of it to create your own recipe. For instance, using other nut flours, plant flours, protein powders for different textures, or using cheese powder, curry powder, coffee grounds, cocoa powder, matcha powder, and etc. for different flavors. About sweetener, erythritol, monk fruit, or its blending is my choice of sweetener. I found stevia having a very bitter aftertaste, which is not my preference. So try more options to find your favorite. For this keto pie crust recipe, add more or less to your taste, or completely cut it out. Then this pie crust is ready for many delicious savory pie fillings. About binding agent, I use Samsung gum. In keto baking, Samsung gum or guar gum are used to mimic the gluten in wheat flours. Though we value the flakiness of a pie crust, we still need the binding agent, or the pie crust becomes a very short shortbread, crumbled and broken easily. About leveling agent, I add baking powder to make the product flakier. It's optional to add baking powder in making a small batch, but it's required in making a larger batch. Baking soda is not suggested here, since it makes the pie crust soft chewy. About salt and saltiness, sea salt and pink salt are used for flavor balance, serve the same function as in traditional baking, and particularly for savory pie dishes, it can be added more or less to your taste. About fat content, cold butter can be either cubed or shredded. Interestingly, I found using room temperature melted butter also works very well. Unlike wheat flour absorbs melted butter, leaving no space to create layers of flakiness. Almond flour or any nut flour itself has high fat content already, so it still creates crunchy texture after baking. In this way, substitute cold butter with coconut oil or lard in a cold form or melted form are also workable. Only we need to chill the dough first, before both loading it into any pie pan and before baking it. About liquid, it's optional to substitute with other cold liquid such as dairy or non-dairy milk. It does the job and brings extra flavor. But in keto pie crust, I found water is sufficient enough to do the job, especially for a savory pie dough. About egg, we can either use egg yolk only or use the whole egg. Both work well. Yolk brings the fat and flavor richness. White contains protein and helps in binding. If we use a whole egg, then we have enough liquid, no water needed. But if we use yolk only, then we need that 2 tablespoons of water. About egg wash of a keto pie crust, use yolk or white or whole egg is a question. Brush where exactly is a question. Or fundamentally, is egg wash necessary or not is another question. My answers to a keto pie crust are: if we do egg wash, using white is better than yolk. and just touch the flat bottom of the pie crust, not the rim, because yolk gets burnt easily and becomes darker quickly. We don't want a burnt pie crust. Egg wash to prevent the soggy pie crust bottom is helpful. It's a bonus, but I found it's really not necessary to have a keto pie crust rim egg washed at all. The rim gets brown during the baking process. Adding any egg wash, even the egg white wash only, just gets it darker. In my conclusion, egg wash for a keto pie crust is not necessary. About ingredients measurement, I highly suggest to measure most of keto baking ingredients in weight, not in volume, particularly the non-wheat flour part, because nut flour actually has different particle sizes. How fine they are grinded are different. I found 1 cup of almond flour weighs very different from brands to brands, but for ingredients normally used in a very small amount, such as baking powder, baking soda, and sea salt, it's relatively okay to measure in teaspoons. About blind bake or not depends on how you utilize your time, especially during holiday seasons, and depends on different pie fillings, thin or thick, loose or dense, raw or cooked. Be sure to duck the pie dough bottom. A successful blind bake is done in below conditions. The trick is low heat and slow bake in 3 stages. Preheat oven to 160 degrees centigrade, 320 degrees Fahrenheit. First stage, bake for 30 to 40 minutes with parchment paper and pie weight. Second stage, bake for 5 to 10 minutes with the rim protected by parchment shield. And third stage, bake for 5 minutes with the cross-button egg white washed. You will find a successful blind bake every time you do it. I want to highlight the temperature setting. It's very crucial for a beautifully baked pie product. With a pie crust blind baked or not, oven temperature setting is varied. First, with an already baked pie crust, it's lower heat, longer time, 1 stage baking. Preheat oven to 160 degrees centigrade, 320 degrees Fahrenheit. Bake for 60 to 70 minutes. Second, with a raw pie crust dough, it's first high heat shorter time, and then low heat longer time. 2 stages baking. Preheat oven to 210 degrees centigrade, 410 degrees Fahrenheit. Initially in 210, bake for 10 minutes. Then lower to 180 degrees. Bake for 35 to 45 minutes. With these 12 tips, making a keto pie crust is actually easy, isn't it? We can have countless pie crust rim designs. How we crimp a pie is a fun and creative process. Especially do it with your kids or loved ones. It will definitely make the pie more delicious. I hope you enjoy this video and the pie season. Please always know that you are cherished and blessed. Thank you for your watching and considering to subscribe. I will see you next time. Take care.